Good morning, my friends. And yes, here I am with a warm cup of coffee. Why? Because, as the saying goes, it never rains in Southern California. It's a total lie. It's been chucking it down here for weeks. And today, again, it is coming down heavy and steady. Not thick exactly. It's very light rain, but it is consistent. It's been raining all day so far. It was raining yesterday. The day before, I thought spring had arrived. Anyway, so it does rain in Southern California. And how? So a nice warming cup of coffee. Also, good to have energy. Today's a bit of a big subject. So are you ready? Roll your sleeves up. This is My Home Biz Tips, brought to you by PhD in Follow-Up. PhD in Follow-Up is a company I started with my business partner about 11 years ago now, actually. Wow, 11 years. Designed to help businesses with their follow-up as part of a marketing strategy. And then we realized that business owners don't actually have a marketing strategy. They think they do, or they meant to get round to doing it. So we started to help them build that. And then it became the administration of a business. And then it became the administration of money and the making of more money. And we introduced other ways of generating residual income, like books, training courses, product sales, and then investments. Well, I'm not allowed to say that officially, not investments, but trading and trading. Trading is probably the best way of putting it, although not ourselves. We give money to people who do that for us. Great returns. So we basically solve any kind of problem any business owner or entrepreneur might have to do with the administration and the running of their business and the marketing. So they can then focus on the business part of why they're in business, which is, after all, why they're in business. That's why they're on the earth. They have something to contribute to humankind, to the planet. So we enable them to do that. So who's we? Well, I am Andrea Kuchin. Does it match my lipstick? Almost, not quite. It was the plan, but I was a bit rushed. It's an exciting day today. Lots happening with our technology company as well. Yes, we provide all the technology and the tools that you need to run your business as well. So if you want more information, call or text me on 858-252-1190. Yeah, I do actually pick up the phone, so do that. You can email me on andrea@phdinfollowup.com, andrea@phdinfollowup.com. You can communicate with us more if you join our Facebook group, which, as you will see, is focused on getting more loyal customers or getting increased customer loyalty, or both, and more referrals as part of your marketing strategy, which is a much more efficient way of doing it. And that's it on the intro stuff. You want to know what we're talking about today? Do you? It's one of my favorite words. Efficiency. Oh. You know, it's funny. I heard that term when I first started working in an office, quite a few years ago. And I thought, well, that's a bit ridiculous. Efficiency experts, efficiency assessments, what a load of rubbish. And then, of course, I realized exactly what it means because, as I said before, you went into business to be your business, to be a coach or a health practitioner or accountant or bookkeeper or mortgage organizer or whatever it is, all those things, artist. You did that. Can you hear the rain or the wind howling? It's quite spooky. Anyway, sorry, I just got distracted by the sound of the rain there for a minute. And I wanted to prove to you that it really is raining in Southern California. Anyway, so you went into business to be those things. You didn't go into business to be a business administrator or a marketing department, did you? No. So we do that for you. So when it's not quite going right, you're not as efficient as you would like to be. You get clogged up and it slows everything down. Because if you've got nobody to sell to or nobody to produce for, you don't have a business because you don't have an income. Well, if you're working with us, you have an income anyway, but that's beside the point. That's separate from your business. Your business won't generate money if you don't have something to sell. And if you haven't got a service of some kind to provide. In other words, if you've got nobody to coach to, you can't be a coach. If you've got nobody asking you for health advice, you can't sell a health product, can you? Simple. So, and then once they've started, how do you onboard them? How do you check up on them? That's all about the administration of running your business, right? Even down to the accounting and how you handle your money, right? In fact, I was talking about that earlier this year. We'll be posting that as a blog in the next few days. So how are you in relation to where you wanted to be this year? Or any year, it doesn't matter which year it is. I'm hoping you're going to be watching this in March anyway. And even if it isn't March, it could be June or September, excuse me. Wherever it is, it's some point during the year, right? The idea was you had a plan at the beginning of the year. At the end of 12 months, you will be at this stage, right? Now, in order to get to that stage, you've got to go through all these different stages, right? So you divide your year into 4 sections. That's a quarter, 3 months, right? We are now more than halfway through month 3. We actually have, I'm looking at my calendar, which of course has disappeared. We actually have 10 days left in this month, which means we've got 10 days left in this quarter. So are you almost a quarter of the way to your target? Now, it doesn't matter what your target was. Your target could be that many more customers, that many more clients, that many more Facebook followers, that much income. It doesn't matter what it is, or that many more people in your team, or that many more products that you have available for sale, that many more people on your email list, that many more people in your social media followings. Did I say that already? It doesn't matter what your targets are. I'd like to think you've got more than one target, right? But in order to get to that point, there are steps. So say, for example, that your target was that by the end of this year, you will have generated $100,000, $1,000, that would be sad, $100,000, right? Let's make it $120,000. I say $120,000 because I am awful at maths. I'm great at numbers, but I'm awful at maths. How does that fit together? I don't know, but it does. So mathematically, $120,000 in a year, or pounds, or euros, or Australian dollars, or Canadian dollars or yen or renminbi or whatever it is, you have that target. So that's 10 per month, right? Which means that at this stage, you should be almost at 30,000, whatever it was. Or you won't be, because you're going to be building momentum as the year goes. So don't be unrealistic with your targets. 120,000 in a year doesn't mean 30,000 every quarter, because you can't go from 0 to 30. So you're worked out that you're going to have to make, maybe 40,000 in December, or 40,000 or 50,000 in your last quarter, and 30,000 in the next quarter, and so on, because your first quarter, you're only just starting, your numbers are still going to be low. But if it's to do with how much money you want to make, you have to figure out how many sales you have to make of whatever it is you're selling in order to generate that income, right? So if you're selling a product that costs $1,000, because it might be a coaching program or something, and you want to make $10,000 in a month, obviously you've got to sell 10 of them. If you're selling a product that's worth $100, you've obviously got to sell 1,000 of them, I think. You see, this is where the problem is. I'm not very good at maths. At least, I shouldn't say that, because I'm creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Stop it, Andrea. Naughty. Okay, but you get the point. The point is, how much do you need to sell? Now, in order to sell that many, in order to sell, say, 10 coaching programs of $1,000. So someone's paying you $1,000 a month for coaching for a year, say, you only need 10 clients for the year and you're done. Yep, that's right. So how many people do you need to have your sales conversation with? It is a sales conversation. You obviously don't call it a sales conversation. You might call it a discovery call, or a coaching call, or a brainstorming session. That's what I call it, or a mastermind, or whatever it is. Although I do actually do brainstorming, because I can't always sell something to somebody, because they don't always need me. But that's another issue. So how many of those do you need to do to close 10? So if your closing ratio is 50%, then in order to close 10, you've got to have 20, right? If your closing ratio is 30%, then in order to close 10, you've got to have 30, because that would be a third, right? If you get it. If your closing ratio is 25%, in other words, a quarter of the people you talk to, you're going to have 40 people, right? In order to get to the place where you can do a one-on-one call, or have your team do a one-on-one call with 40 people, how many people do you have to invite to talk to you? Is it 50? Is it 80? Is it 400? 200? How many is it? In order to get them interested, do you have to advertise on social media? Do you have to offer something on your website for people to download to get their email addresses? Are you doing live events? In which case, how many of those do you need to do to get people's email addresses or get them to book appointments? You see what I mean? You can figure it out. It's easy to figure out if you work it out backwards, or as they say, reverse engineer. If you reverse engineer the whole thing, you'll get the answers, right? So I think it was Bob Proctor, God rest his soul, Bob Proctor, who died recently, who actually calculated how much money you would have to make in an hour. I think it was an hour, in order to make $1 million a year. And it's 114. So you have to make $114 an hour. I don't think it's a minute. I think it's an hour, in order to earn $1 million a year. So how are you going to make your $114 an hour, right? What are you going to do? Because that's every hour, obviously, to add up to $1 million. We're not at $1 million. We're still talking 120,000, okay? Or 240,000 if you've done your 120,000 already, or wherever you are, right? So we're talking 10,000 a month, or 20,000 a month, or 50,000 a month. We're building up. But you know how many sales you have to close to hit that target. And you know how many people you need to talk to get those sales. And you know how many times you need to talk to them. Because based on sales statistics that I've been spouting for God knows how long, you have to talk to people somewhere between 8 and 12 times to get them to the point that you can even have a conversation with them that will close them. So you've got to do your following up. You've got to be consistent in your communication. How are you going to do that? What are you going to do that with? Right now, we automate an awful lot of these processes now, right? So it's not as labor intensive as you think. But if you know your numbers, then you're in control of your business. If you don't know your numbers, your business is in control of you. It's the same with money. It's the same with time. When you have control, even if it's a very small amount of control, you create what happens. If you have no control, you experience what happens to you, right? It's cause and effect. When you're in control, you are at cause. You are the cause of things happening. You create them. When you are not, when you don't have control, you are the effect of something happening. You're at effect of what's happening. You experience the result. You are the result, right? So if you control your time and your money, that means you are efficient. You get stuff done, because we're not controlling time, we're controlling tasks. And I've talked about that before, or things that need to get done, and appointments and meetings and all the rest of it all rolled into one. But that's what you control. You can't control time. Time ticks. And despite the fact that it feels like it's going faster when you're watching a great movie, or slower when you're in the dentist's waiting room, it's actually traveling at the same speed. And people forget this, everyone has the same amount. So I'm trying to think at the moment about people who are doing amazing, incredible things. Blank. Business. Well, Tony Robbins, right? Grant Cardone, Dean Graziosi. People who you think, how on earth can they be doing that much stuff? Well, partly because they've got a team. How did they get a team? Because they made tons of money and were able to pay somebody, right? They did that in the same 24 hours a day, only 7 days a week that you have. They've only got 365 days a year as well, right? They just organize things differently. And they all started with nothing. They all started on their own as individuals, and then hired an assistant, and then several assistants, and then more assistants, which enabled them to go off and do other things. This is what we're going to create for you, right? And if you're serious, please call me. Hang on. Here you go. Please call or text me, because I've got some ideas up my sleeve for how we can help you get your first 100,000. Unbelievably, yes, 100,000. Unfortunately, not 120,000, which would be so much easier mathematically, but the first 100,000, which I think is about 8,000, 8 and a bit thousand a month, which isn't bad, eh? Not bad. Okay, so going back to efficiency. It's not about how efficient you are as a coach. Unfortunately, I have no control over that. Only you do. Or a plumber, or an accountant or a mortgage broker or a real estate agent or a decorator or a dressmaker. I can't control that at all. That's up to you. And that's what you're good at, right? That's your thing. That's what wakes you up in the morning and what makes it possible for you to jump out of bed and think, yay, the world's wonderful, right? I can't wait to get back to work today. I can't wait to help another customer or client or serve another person or make somebody's life better, right? So what we do is we help you get that done. We're ticking away in the background, My Home Biz Tips, PhD and follow-up, helping you do that. So where are you? What were your targets for the year? Are you nearly a quarter of the way there? If not, please reach out to me because I want to help you. And yes, I know I said earlier on that my sales call is called a brainstorming session, but that's when you're on a landing page following some kind of promotion activity, right? When I'm talking one-to-one with you and I say, call me and we can do some brainstorming, I actually mean it. We can do some brainstorming. And as I said last week, I can help you set up things in the background which will tick away without you even realizing and generate income for you, which takes the stress off the business part of it. But you need to know your numbers. In fact, efficiency, efficiency, I should have written numbers, actually, because it's the numbers of your business that tell you whether you're on track or not. And this is something you've been doing for a long time. You just didn't realize it, because every single time you drive somewhere, you go through exactly those steps, but you don't relate it to your business. That's the problem. Or when it comes to your business, you think you can't do it. And as soon as you think you can't do it, you can't, right? It suddenly becomes awfully, awfully difficult. Well, I'm here to help you, just to nudge you a bit to get you back on track. Okay. So if you were driving a car and you were driving a car from your house to your supermarket where you do your shopping, you know exactly where you've got to go. And you also know approximately how long it's going to take you. So you have a goal, a target, which has a date or a time attached to it, right? Now, there are probably several different routes. Some of them are faster, some of them are slower, right? Depending on the time of day, maybe traffic, or depending on whether you need to drop something off or pick something up somewhere on the way, or whether you want to go to 2 or 3 different stores. You then figure out, okay, well, I'll go this way or that way or the other way. And then on the way, you might get caught by a flash flood. We've had a lot of those in San Diego recently. Or there might have been storms and a branch got broken off and landed in the street and you can't get through. So there will be obstacles in your way. What do? You get in the old days, you used to get your map out. You get your phone out and you look for an alternative route. You don't suddenly collapse in a heap and go, oh my God, I'm never going to get to the supermarket, and panic about it, do you? No, you just find an alternative route and you go. So that's what you need to do in your business as well. You know exactly where you're going. You know exactly how long it's going to take you to get there. You know how many miles, you do per hour. You know how much time and effort, you know how much fuel you need in your car. You know whether you're going to have to replace your tires in that time. So if I wanted to go and visit my brother-in-law in Canada, for example, I'm going to have to think about, do I need to get new tires, or do I need to put oil in my car and all that before I leave, right? Does it need an engine tune-up? All the rest of it. Are there enough petrol stations on the way for me to be able to go from one to the next? That's something that used to frighten me when I was driving up to Sacramento and places, you'd be in the middle of nowhere thinking, oh my God, have I got enough gas to get to the next petrol pump, or enough petrol to get to the next garage. Anyway, that's all it is. Your business is the same. So by now, you should be about a quarter of the way towards your targets, or at least you should be beginning to get momentum. And then, of course, by the end of the year, you're going to have to outproduce a little bit in order to balance it out to get to where you wanted to be, to have your $100,000 in earnings, right? Or $120,000 in earnings, which is a very good place to be, because it means that next year you'll already start a step ahead. So even if it falls off a little bit, by the end of the year, you'll still have made that target. And of course, if your target was 100,000 this year, it's going to be at least 150,000 or 200,000 or 300,000 next year, right? Because once you understand how to increase something, you can do it again. You can repeat it, right? And then you hire someone who can help you make it go even faster. That's the way it works. So, and yes, I am very, very serious about this. Call me or text me if you are on target and you want to celebrate, because I love that. If you're not on target and you're not quite sure why, and you're not quite sure how to get back on target, then let me help you. Honestly, genuinely, let me help you. I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to enroll you in a coaching program or anything like that, okay? I'm just going to help you get your head straight, your head square on your shoulders, okay? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you. I might recommend a VA to you, or some software that'll make your life easier. Most software has free versions, so don't worry about it. I'm not out for your money. I'm out for your success. That is the point. Okay, that's it. That's the end of my sermon for today. Thank you so much for listening, my friends. Okay, call or text me 858-252-1190. You can email me, andrea@phdinfollowup.com. Today's talk was efficiency. Are you on target for Q1? Go back and review other videos. Look out for my blog, which is going to be coming out this week, which goes over this, because I think that might be the transcript, or based on the transcript of something I did at the beginning of the year. That's it, my friends. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Same place, same time next week. Have a great week, my friends. Cheerio. Now what do I do?